Let's get something straight. Women don't give you what you want because you're nice. They don't reward you because you waited patiently, responded to her every text, complimented her every move, or because you made her laugh. If anything, the more available and obedient you are, the less likely you are to get what you actually want. And that's the first brutal truth most men will never admit. Because we've been taught a lie. From a young age, society told you, be a good guy, treat her like a queen, and she'll naturally give you love, attention, affection, sex, respect, the whole package. But look around. How many men are doing exactly that and getting absolutely nothing in return? Let's be even more real. Most women already know what you want. They just don't respect how you're trying to get it. And once a woman loses respect for you, it's game over. This video is going to hurt a little because I'm not going to tell you what you want to hear. I'm going to tell you what actually works. And I want you to forget everything you've seen in soft rom-coms, heard from your aunties, or even read in those feminine energy TikTok threads, because none of that is designed for your benefit. Most of it is designed to make you easier to control, not more powerful. Let's flip the script. Today, I'm going to teach you how to get what you want from a woman. Whether it's respect, attention, romance, intimacy, or even loyalty, by becoming the kind of man who naturally receives these things without begging, chasing, or manipulating. And here's the kicker. It's not about tricking her. It's not about pickup lines. It's not even about being the richest, tallest, or most handsome guy in the room. It's about understanding the one thing most men never grasp. Women give freely to the men they genuinely admire. And admiration is earned not through servitude, but through presence, purpose, and power. Let me ask you something. Have you ever seen a man walk into a room and instantly command attention without saying a word? Have you ever watched a woman chase a man who didn't even seem to notice her? Have you ever wondered why some guys can get away with being direct, even blunt, and still get the girl while others do everything right and still get ghosted? It's not luck. It's not magic. It's a mindset, a skill, a quiet, calculated understanding of how women really work beneath all the social filters. And let's be clear, this video isn't about disrespecting women. In fact, it's the opposite. It's about understanding how to build a dynamic with women that is rooted in mutual respect, mutual desire, and mutual benefit. Because if all you're doing is pouring out effort without a return, that's not love. That's emotional poverty. You don't need to become a jerk. You don't need to play games, but you do need to stop being the man who waits to be chosen. You need to become the man who chooses and whose standards are just as high as hers. So if you're tired of getting ignored after texting her back instantly, being friend-zoned after being so sweet for months, feeling like she holds all the power and you're just hoping she gives you crumbs, doing everything you thought was right but getting zero results, then you need to reset the way you see women, and more importantly, the way you see yourself. Women don't fall for men who try hard. They fall for men who make them feel safe, challenged, and inspired. They respond to certainty, not desperation. They respect leadership, not neediness. They open up to clarity, not confusion. And when you master that, you don't need to chase. You don't need to pressure. You don't need to manipulate. You simply exist in your power. And she feels it. By the end of this video, you'll walk away with 5 powerful shifts that will change the way you approach women forever. And once you implement them, you'll start noticing a change. Not just in how women react to you, but how you carry yourself as a man. Because the truth is this. If you want more from women, you don't ask for it. You become the man who naturally gets it. Let's break it all down. 1, stop being nice. Start being real. Let's be clear right now. Being nice doesn't get you what you want from a woman. Being real does. For decades, men have been sold a fantasy. The idea that if you're polite enough, soft enough, agreeable enough, and always available, a woman will one day look at you and finally reward you with attention, affection, or intimacy. But that's not how reality works. Women don't respond to weakness disguised as kindness. They respond to truth, authenticity, and confidence. Now, don't misunderstand this. There's nothing wrong with being respectful or kind. But nice in today's world doesn't mean kind anymore. It means fake. It means passive. It means you're hiding what you really want just to be liked. And women can feel that even if you never say it out loud. Here's the uncomfortable truth. Most nice guys don't speak their mind. They don't lead conversations. They agree too easily. They fear rejection so much that they avoid saying anything bold or honest. They're always waiting for the right moment, and that moment never comes. And you know what women do with men like that? They friend zone them. They use them for attention, they string them along while dating someone else. Not because they're cruel, but because they don't see you as someone who knows what he wants. Here's the shift. You don't need to become cold. You don't need to become aggressive, but you do need to stop hiding behind fake politeness. You need to say what you mean. Ask for what you want, draw boundaries when necessary, and let your presence speak louder than your eagerness to please. A man who is real, not rude, but real, creates an emotional reaction. A man who is real doesn't try to fit into her world. He builds his own world and invites her into it. Let's break this down with something you've probably experienced. You've been talking to a woman for weeks. You always reply quickly. You laugh at her jokes. You say good morning every day. You compliment her appearance. You tell her she's amazing. You do everything that should make her like you, and then she starts ignoring your texts. She says she's busy. You see her out with another guy. Suddenly you realize you were never in the game. She liked the attention, she liked the control, but she didn't respect you. Why? Because you weren't honest with your intentions. You were trying to be liked instead of being yourself. Now flip the script. You meet a woman, and from the beginning, you're clear. You say what you like about her without flattery. You don't chase her for responses. You keep your focus on your life, your goals. You speak confidently even when disagreeing. You don't try to prove yourself. You let your energy do the talking. Now she's paying attention. Now she's texting back. Now she's wondering why you're not reacting the way every other guy does. She may not even understand it herself, but she feels something different. That difference is you being real, not just nice. Here's something most men never realize. When you're nice, you're usually just avoiding rejection. But when you're real, rejection doesn't scare you because you know your value. Women feel safe with nice guys, but not excited. They feel comfortable, but not challenged. And over time, comfort without attraction turns into boredom. If you want a woman to truly see you and give you what you want emotionally, physically, and mentally, you need to stop performing. Stop editing yourself. Stop walking on eggshells. Stop thinking that if you just treat her right, she'll finally choose you. Instead, say what you want. Mean what you say. Don't say yes just to be liked. And most importantly, be okay if she walks away. Because being real means you're not living to win her approval. You're living by your own rules. And the irony, that's what makes a woman want to give you more. When she senses that you're honest, unbothered, and not desperate, she starts trying to earn your attention, not the other way around. This is the part that most men never try because it feels risky. It feels like they might lose her. But here's the twist. You never had her to begin with. Not if you were wearing a mask. Take the risk of being real, and you might lose a few who were never meant for you, but the ones who stay, they give you more than you ever got by being nice. Let's move on to the next piece, because once you stop hiding, the next step is learning how to lead, and that changes everything. 2, lead the interaction, don't follow it. Here's a truth most men ignore, but every woman feels if you're not leading the interaction, she is. And the moment she's in charge of how things flow, how fast they move, and where it's going, she's no longer feeling feminine. She's feeling in control. And when she's in control, her attraction dies. Because deep down, women don't want to lead. They want to be led. Not in a controlling or aggressive way, but in a way that shows you know what you're doing, where you're going, and that she can trust your direction. Leading is not barking orders. Leading is not being forceful. It's not being arrogant or trying to dominate every moment. Leading simply means this. You set the tone. You decide the pace. You move things forward. Most men sit back and wait. They wait for the right moment. They wait for her to make the first move. They wait to be told what to do. And that's why nothing ever happens. Let me put it plainly. A woman cannot follow a man who won't move. And when she senses that hesitation, that indecision, that energy of tell me what to do, she pulls away because now she's doing all the emotional work. And whether she says it out loud or not, that becomes draining to her. Let's paint a picture you've probably seen. You match with a woman, you chat, it's going well, she seems interested. Then you say, so what do you want to do this weekend? She says, I don't know yet. And now you're stuck. You ask again later, still unsure. Eventually, she stops replying. Now, rewind that same situation with a small shift in energy. You say, "Hey, there's this new spot downtown I've been meaning to check out. I'm going Saturday at 7 You should come." Now, you've created structure. You've offered direction. You've set the pace. Whether she agrees or not doesn't matter because what matters is this: you showed leadership. And leadership is deeply attractive. Women don't fall for men who ask for permission every step of the way. They fall for men who initiate. Think about dancing. In almost every traditional partner dance, there's a lead and a follow. When the lead is confident, the dance flows. When the lead is hesitant, the dance falls apart. The same thing applies to relationships, to flirting, to connection. When you lead, you're not afraid to guide the conversation. You're not afraid to be the one to escalate slowly and respectfully. You're not afraid to suggest the next step. You don't wait for her to say, "So, are you going to kiss me?" You make the moment clear. You create the atmosphere. You lean in when the time feels right with presence, not pressure. And if the moment's not right, you sense it. You pause, you shift gears. That's leadership too, because leading is not about forcing things. It's about reading the moment and moving with intention. Most guys don't lead because they're afraid of messing it up. They fear rejection. They overthink every word. They hope the woman will somehow take the wheel and make it easy. But here's the secret: she's not looking for perfection. She's looking for certainty. Even if you're a little awkward, even if your plan isn't perfect, even if you're still figuring it out, if you move with clarity, she'll feel safer with you than with the guy who says, "I don't know. What do you want to do?" Leading also means emotionally. You don't get lost in her moods. You remain grounded. You don't let her indecisiveness make you spiral. You stay calm. You don't ask, "Is it okay if I say this?" You speak your truth and stay respectful. Women follow men who know who they are. That doesn't mean being louder than her, it means being clearer than her. She wants to know that you have vision, not just for the night, but for yourself. That's the energy that makes her feel like she can trust your direction. And when trust is there, everything else flows. Think of any man you've ever seen who walks into a room and changes the energy. He doesn't beg, he doesn't chase, he doesn't wait. He observes, he decides, he leads, and the room adjusts to him. That's the frame you need to live in, not just to attract a woman, but to create real influence in her heart and mind. Because when you lead, you unlock something powerful in her. You allow her to relax, to feel, to open up without having to think about where things are going. She doesn't want to drive, she wants to feel the ride. And you set the route. 3, be willing to walk away. If there's one truth that separates men who get what they want from those who constantly feel powerless, it's this: you have to be willing to walk away. Not in anger, not to play games, not to teach her a lesson, but because your self respect matters more than her attention. Most men don't want to admit it. But the reason they feel so frustrated with women isn't because women are confusing. It's because they've trained themselves to accept less than they deserve just to stay in the game. They tolerate being ignored. They accept one word replies. They keep showing up hoping something will change. They chase after women who already made it clear they're not interested. Why? Because they're afraid to lose. But here's the thing no one tells you: if you're scared of losing her, you've already lost yourself. When a woman senses that you're afraid to walk, that you'll stay no matter what, she no longer values your presence. Why should she? You've already told her silently that she doesn't need to put in effort. You'll stay anyway. And from that moment on, the dynamic shifts. You're not an equal, you're an option. And the worst part, you did it to yourself. Look, as a man, you know what this feels like. That feeling of wanting her so badly, you start making excuses. You ignore your gut. You justify her distance. You downplay your needs, and slowly you stop being a man in control and start becoming a man on standby. But here's the truth that sets you free: the ability to walk away is the ultimate power move. Not because you want to leave, not because you're bitter, but because you know that you're the prize too. It's easy to say, "I deserve better." But it's much harder to actually live that, especially when your emotions are invested. You might think, "If I just wait a little longer, she'll come around. Maybe if I try harder, she'll see my worth. If I walk away now, what if I regret it?" Regret. But deep down, you already know waiting hasn't worked. Trying harder hasn't worked. and regret that only shows up when you betray yourself, not when you protect your peace. You're not weak for caring, you're not wrong for wanting something real. But you cross the line when you keep giving and receiving nothing and then pretend it's okay. That's not strength, that's denial. Being willing to walk away isn't about being cold hearted. It's about having a line, a standard, and saying, if this isn't met, I'm out. And you know what happens when a woman realizes you have that line? She respects you more because now she sees that you don't need her. You choose her. And chosen love always feels better than desperate love. The truth is, most men are afraid to walk because they think that woman is their only chance. That if they lose her, they lose everything. But listen closely. No woman is your last shot. Not if you're constantly growing. Not if you're becoming more self aware. Not if you're learning how to lead. Speak truth and stand on your value. You will always attract better when you raise your standards, even if it means walking away from someone you once thought was perfect. This isn't about being careless, it's about being clear. You know what you want, you know what you're worth. And if she can't meet you there, you won't beg, you'll leave. That energy, that's what real men are made of. And the irony is, when you finally master this, you'll rarely have to walk away. Because the women you attract will feel the strength behind your silence and they won't want to lose it. 4, don't try to impress her, impress yourself. Let's be brutally honest, Manto Man. You're trying too hard, not just with her, but with everyone. You're performing. You're constantly trying to prove your worth to people who aren't even thinking about you. And the worst part, you don't even realize you're doing it. Every text you overthink, every outfit you wear just to be seen, every story you post hoping she watches it, every compliment you give that you don't mean just hoping it gets her attention. All of it screams one thing: please notice me. And that's the problem. You're not living for you anymore. You're living to be chosen. And somewhere along the way, you forgot the most important rule. You are the one who needs to impress yourself first. If your self-worth depends on how a woman reacts to you, you've already lost the game. Because now your emotions aren't yours. They're in her hands. And every day becomes a performance. Not for growth, not for purpose, but for approval. Here's your wake-up call. You don't become valuable by being impressive. You become valuable by being solid with or without her applause. Let's call it out. Too many men these days are walking around lost, distracted, and disconnected, addicted to female validation, obsessed with likes, replies, reactions, chasing the high of attention like it's oxygen. You've forgotten how to build for you. What happened to the man who had goals? What happened to the man who used to chase mastery? What happened to the man who looked in the mirror and cared about who he saw, not who someone else might see? The truth is harsh, but it's necessary. You abandoned yourself trying to get someone else to choose you, and that's why you feel empty. That's why you keep coming up short. That's why even when she gives you a little attention, it never feels like enough. Because deep down, you're not even proud of who you are. But that can change right now. The shift starts the moment you stop asking, will she like this? And start asking, do I like who I'm becoming? You don't need to post to be seen. You don't need to flex to feel powerful. You don't need to fake it to feel worthy. You need to wake up, get grounded, and start rebuilding your relationship with yourself. Train not to get abs butts, but to become disciplined. Work not for praise, but for purpose. Speak not to impress, but to express truth. Live not to be picked, but to be proud. And here's the beauty of it. When you stop chasing approval and start building your life from the inside out, you become magnetic. Women can feel when a man is no longer seeking their validation. They can tell when he's focused. They can see it in his eyes. That grounded presence, that calm certainty, that deep self-respect. And that right there is more powerful than any pickup line, any outfit, or any trick. Because now you're no longer chasing, you're choosing. You're moving from power, not from need. So here's the challenge. Stop trying to be impressive, start becoming someone you actually admire. And the moment you do, she'll notice. They all will. But you won't even care because finally, you'll be doing it for the right reasons. 5, make her earn your energy. 2, here's a fact that most men never even consider. Your energy has value. Your time, your presence, your attention, all of that is currency, but most men give it away like it's worthless. You double text her when she barely replies. You cancel your plans just to be available. You pour compliments, affection, effort, And what do you get back? Silence, delays, confusion, mixed signals. Why? Because you trained her to think your energy is free. No standards, no requirements, no boundaries. And that's your mistake. You've been taught to believe that as a man, you have to prove yourself first, that women are the prize and you have to earn their love, loyalty, attention, and time. But here's the controversial truth: you're the prize too. And if she's not investing back into you emotionally, mentally, or physically, why are you still giving everything? This isn't about being cold or transactional. It's about being balanced. It's about recognizing that a relationship or even a connection is not a one-way street. If you're doing all the reaching out, all the planning, all the chasing, then you're not in a connection. You're in a performance. You're not a provider of endless energy. You're a man, a builder, a creator, and you deserve reciprocation. You deserve to feel like she's putting an effort too, that she's meeting you halfway, that she wants to be there. See, not just waiting for you to entertain her. So here's the mindset shift: don't overgive to win her. Give when it feels natural and when it's returned. If it's one sided, pull back. Not as a punishment, but as protection. Your energy is sacred. Make sure it's being earned, not wasted. Because the moment you start protecting your energy, you stop begging for love and start attracting women who value you for real. Here's the harshest truth most men won't admit, even to themselves. If you're waiting for a woman to change, to meet you halfway, or to suddenly realize your worth, you're wasting your time. This is the part that makes people uncomfortable, but it's the reality that cuts through all the fluff and false hope. Women don't owe you anything. No matter how nice you are, no matter how much effort you put in, no matter how long you wait, if you're sitting back hoping she'll see your value and reward you, you're playing a losing game. The truth is, the only way to get what you want, whether that's respect, attention, or intimacy, is to become a man who doesn't need to ask for it. The men who get what they want aren't the ones begging or pleading. They're the ones who set the terms. They're the ones who hold their standards high. They're the ones willing to walk away. And that's what most men refuse to do. Why? Because it's scary. Because it means risking loneliness. Because it means being uncomfortable. But here's the twist: when you accept that you have to be willing to lose her to win yourself, everything changes. You stop chasing approval. You stop sacrificing your worth. You stop settling for less. And ironically, that's when women start chasing you. They start respecting your time, your energy, your presence, because you respect it yourself. Now, I want to hear from you. Have you ever been in a situation where you realized you were giving too much and not getting enough? Have you felt like you were the only one trying? Or maybe you've tried walking away and discovered something changed. Drop your story in the comments below. I read every single one. I want to understand what you've been through because this isn't just theory, it's real life. If you want, I'll personally reach out and connect with some of you who share your experiences. This journey isn't about me teaching from a distance. It's about us figuring it out together. Because here's what I know for sure: no man should feel powerless. No man should feel invisible. No man should settle. You're worth more than that. And now you have the tools to change the game. But change only happens when you act. So take that first step. Be real. Lead. Walk away if you have to and protect it. Your energy. Then watch how the world and the women in it start showing up differently.